Creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. And as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. And if it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, a canvas of your grace. And if creation still obeys you, so will I. So will I. So will I. If the stars are made to worship, so will I. If the mountains bow in reverence, so will I. And if the oceans roar your greatness, so will I. For if everything exists to lift you high, so will I. And if the wind goes where you send it, so will I. If the rocks cry out in silence, so will I. If the sum of all our praises still falls shy, then we'll sing again 100 billion times. God of salvation, chase down my heart through all of my failure and pride. On a hill you created, the light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion failures disappear. Well, you lost your life so I could find it here. And if you
All right.
I want to read the first one. Or the second one.
All right. We're going to get things going. Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first senior of the week, their birthday is November 23rd, 2002. Their favorite class and why is Rydell's 5th period or Miss Pippin's 6th period because I can teach junior high kids my acting expertise. Senior quote, why are you doing sign language? At a blind person, Miss Pippin. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Nowhere, evidently. Biggest fear, Miss Rydell, the last rehearsal before a performance. Favorite school tradition, singing Christmas songs. What trend do you want to return? Crimped hair. Fun fact, my only personality trait is working at Fountainville. And their favorite show or series during quarantine is obviously I had The Office on repeat while watching TikTok. And that is Riley Little. Okay, next senior birthday is February 13th, 2003. Favorite class and why is home ec because Allie and Lexi carried the kitchen for us. Senior quote, do you have a speech impediment? Cop, that pulled me over. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Misdiagnosing patients with illnesses that I cannot pronounce. Biggest fear is Allie's old musicals and psychoforensics.
Schizophrenics.
Favorite school tradition is giving 70% of our tuition to the football team. What? This is Barley. What trend do you want to return? Lemonade stands on the street corners. An interesting fact about yourself, I was such a pageant girl and got third in Miss Permian Basin out of 4. Favorite show during quarantine is All American. And thank you, Marley Pruitt, for all the laughs.
Our third senior of the week was born March 8th, 2003. Favorite class, Miss McLean's art classes because she's like my second mom. Senior quote, I think your shoe's untied, Doc. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Working as a nurse and treating the patients that Marley misdiagnosed. Biggest fear, falling off the treadmill at track, again. Favorite school tradition, everyone getting called out for driving at lunch on the second day of school. What trend do you want to return? Conga Thursday in Miss Rogers' class. An interesting fact about yourself, I sleepwalk a lot. Z knows. Favorite show during quarantine, Outer Banks and All-American for the second time, and that is Miss Allie Nelson.
All right, our senior's already up here, so I'm excited for Sam to talk to us today, but if you'll join me in prayer, we'll pray before we turn it over to him. God, thank you so much for today and all that you've done for us. So thank you for Sam and his willingness to share your word. I pray that you would speak through him, that you'd give him your peace. Give the rest of us ears to hear what you have to say today. I thank you so much for Jesus, and it's in his name we pray. Amen.
All right, I just want to start out by telling all y'all thank you for voting me to give this senior chapel. It's a huge blessing to be able to be elected by all y'all to give this chapel. My name's Sam Beckett, if y'all don't know, and I really don't like to talk, so it's a little out of my comfort zone. But we're going to go ahead and go with it. So I'm going to start off today by sharing a bit of my testimony and my walk with Christ up until this point. So my whole life I've grown up in the church and been gratefully in a family where church is a big priority in our lives and how that all starts. And so I've grown up in the church since I was little tiny, just gone to church and everything. First grade, I accepted Christ into my heart. Walked in the kitchen after I had taken a shower to my mom and like, Mom, I can hear angels singing. And she's like, you being serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm not making this up. But so that's when I accepted Christ. But at that point in time, I knew what Christ was, and I knew I wouldn't have a relationship. But was it really my own relationship that I was living? Nah, I couldn't really tell you. Probably not. But I felt that calling and that urge, so that's when I accepted Christ. And just all through my younger years, I grew up in the church, First Baptist Church, with a great, he's the activities minister at First Baptist Church, John Elliott. His son Daniel went here last year. Many of y'all may know him. But he played a big role, just everything at that church he did. Through my elementary years, there's this thing called RAs. It's kind of like a churchified Boy Scouts, I guess you could say. And went to that all the time. It was fun, just getting to hang out with all the people there. And then as I got older, John's still the activities minister there. And continues to put on a whole lot of fun things for the youth there. And so then we get into my freshman year, which at First Baptist gets a little funky, as throughout my 4 years of high school, we've had 4 different youth ministers be at our church. We just can't seem to keep one around. It's just kind of weird whenever you're going through your 4 years of high school and you're trying to build a relationship with that youth minister to help you grow and become closer to Christ. And it's just been kind of weird. But John at that church has been huge for me in my walk with Christ. And also Young Life in Midland. If none of y'all know what Young Life is, it's on Mondays at 7:57 at the Young Life building. It's on Wadley, right down there. If y'all haven't ever been, you should go check it out. It's a blast. But a lot of good people there, such as Trey and Taylor, who's no longer there, have played big roles in my life there in that aspect. But then the part of my testimony I really want to talk about is, I know this has been real repetitive over this last 12 months, almost to the date, as we didn't come back from spring break last year. Thankful we did this year. But when the whole corona shut everything down, and it's just took away almost the church aspect and the community aspect, which the community aspect of things is what I really want to talk to y'all about today. And it ties into my testimony as well. So we get quarantined last year. Hopes are all kind of down. I know, especially for all of us spring sport people, and especially us as baseball team, started out hot, and then to hear that we weren't going to get to play, and we were online, it's kind of like, especially me being super extroverted, whenever I was at my house doing online school, I was like, it's kind of boring. I don't get to see people. I just got to sit here by myself and stare at my computer to do my work. I'm not really liking this. And the other factor that church had just been taken away, and it's like this community that every week you go and you're getting poured into. It's just, I didn't know where I was. And then so gratefully, my family and I began to watch Greg Mott, who is the pastor at Houston's First Baptist Church in Houston. Really great pastor, probably my favorite pastor. My mom was the one who really pushed us to start watching him, as when they were both at A&M, Greg Mott and Chris Tomlin started this thing called Breakaway. It's a lot like Young Life that I explained. It's a Bible study every week for the people that are at A&M that they started. So Greg Mott was the pastor of Breakaway Ministries, and Chris Tomlin led the music there. Breakaway still happens today. If y'all are ever looking for a good way to refresh and get plugged in, Breakaway streams all of their services every week, and they're really good to watch. You just look up Breakaway Ministries College Station, and you'll find a link to watch every week's. It's like 40 minutes long, and it's really good. But so just during that quarantine, we were watching Greg Mott, and at this time keeps going by, and it's been time for what should have been the student council elections this year. And ever since my freshman year, I've wanted to be student council president. And so it comes around, and I get the text from Coach Broussard. She's like, hey, no one's running against you. I know things are kind of funny, so we're not giving speeches, and you're going to be the president. And I was like, kind of hit me. I was like, okay, now I'm going to be president. I'm not trying to rag on myself, but I'm going to be president. So it kind of puts this huge target on my face and on my back. Like, that's Sam Beckett. He's a student council president. What does he do? I want to follow what he does. What kind of example is he going to set? And so this really stroked a fire up in my heart, and I was like, okay, I need to work on myself and be the best person I can be to be able to set a good enough example that all y'all follow in a way that's not just pleasing to this school, but pleasing to God. And so the phrase that really stuck with me, my mom's told me since I was little, you can't just talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. What this means is you can't just say, I'm a Christian, I believe in this, but it's got to be exemplified through your life in the way you walk and carry yourself every single day, how you handle situations with different people. And that can be applied into more aspects in the Christian walk, but in the Christian walk of things, that phrase has really stuck with me and hit hard. So that's my testimony, but what I wanted to really talk to you about is community. What does community mean to you? The Webster Dictionary gives us two definitions of this word. a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. So technically you could say Midland is a community, which it is, but the definition I really want to expound on today is the second one. A feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. The community amongst believers is really big. If you're not, the community of believers puts you in to this. Your walk with Christ is solely dependent upon yourself. But whenever you have a community of believers that have the same goals and interests as you do to growing your faith and being that better Christian, and you have people that are steadily pushing you in a positive direction instead of a negative direction and pulling you back, it really just helps you grow as a Christian and be able to give to others. And so Matthew 18:20, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I will be. And this verse is not saying that when you're by yourself praying that God is not with you, but when there's a group of people, when you're in a community of people, God can move. God can do big things in that community. And then to also go about it, us seniors, this is kind of more towards us as we're leaving. We're no longer here at Midland Christian, where there's kind of this bubble of things. Every day we wake up, we go to first period, we come to chapel, we're getting Jesus fed to us there. And after we leave chapel, we go to Bible, and we get more Jesus fed to us. Each and every day, whether you like it or not, you're here for a reason. It's how it happens. But once we leave and we're no longer under our parents' house of waking us up on Sunday mornings to say, hey, we got to go to church, you got to get up, let's go. Or, hey, you're going to Midland Christian School, you have chapel and Bible every day, you're going to get filled with Christ. It becomes our own personal walk with Christ more, I feel like. And you have to be the one that's willing to go out and find your church home and go out and get plugged in, go out and serve your community. Peter in Acts 2:42-47 says, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to breaking of the bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had a need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people, and the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. So Peter is talking right here, and it's almost saying Peter just got done giving a sermon to these people about community and about what good the togetherness brings. And throughout this verse, you can just see how the community of people, the community of Christians that continues to push each other and push one another is giving up the self-centeredness of living life and putting the needs of other people's before themselves. In Acts 4:32-37, this coincides exactly with the first verse from Acts 2 I just read. All the believers were in one heart and mind. No one claimed that any of their possessions were their own, but they shared everything they had. With great power, the apostles continued to testify to the resurrection of the Lord Jesus. And God's grace was so powerfully at work in them that there were no needy persons among them. From time to time, those who owned land or houses sold them, brought the money from the sales, and put it at the apostles' feet, and it was distributed to anyone who had a need. So this verse just coincides exactly what that means, and it's just this act of what community will bring to you and the way that it's not only the community putting into you, but it's you putting back into the community. Community works two ways. Yes, I feel like community is great for pouring into you, but what are we doing if we take all that the community is pouring into us and we don't turn around and pour it into someone else that needs it? That's kind of the whole goal of community and the church is they're pouring into you. That way you can go out and pour into other people that need it, that need the outreach that you can bring from your relationship with Christ. Then Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. 2 are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls, and no one has to help them. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. This is one of my favorite verses. For just the way it talks about that 2 are better than 1. It's kind of like whenever you're going down a road and you're alone. This walk is really hard. This life is hard. It's not easy. It's not meant to be easy, but that's why we have God to fall back onto and this community of people to fall back on when things get hard, to uplift us. And I just really like that verse. And I think of the community kind of like a team. I know a lot of y'all have played team sports. I like to call them individual team sports because a team can't be good unless you're doing everything in your power to be the best that you can for the good of the team. You got to do everything in your power to help boost the team. And it's not a selfish thing. I want to be doing everything I can to make the team better. And I don't care about my end result as long as I'm busting my butt and doing everything I can do to be better. That makes the team better. It's the same way that works in the fellowship, in the Christian community of things. So that's what I have about community. And now I'm going to give just a few shout outs. First off, Coach Robles, thank you for taking me in. Even though when I came to you freshman year, I was 5'8", like 90 pounds. When I told you I played catcher, you kind of looked at me like, you kidding me? Like, no. But I just can't thank you enough for trusting in me and pushing me to work my butt off every day. And I won't ever forget talking crap about hunting to you on the front of the bus on the way back from games. Coach Grizzard, thank you for almost being like my second mom here at school. I can't thank you enough for all you've done for me for the past 5 years since I was in 8th grade. I do appreciate all you do. I love you. Miss Gower, thank you for also being like a second mom to me and for always having open ears when I need to talk about anything. You mean more to me than you know. I love you. Miss Coolball, I know I've only got to have you for 1 year, and I'm kind of disappointed about that, but thank you for making science so fun and for liking to talk just about as much as I do. I know he's not here, but Greg Williams, I hope you can watch this later. Thank you for being probably the most impactful Christian example I had to follow. You exemplify Christ in all you do, and I can't thank you enough for just the way you shine your light and you walk in faith, and it definitely reaches many people because I know we all miss you here at Midland Christian, but I love you. To the baseball team, there's too many of y'all. It's where all my friends come from, so I just want to thank y'all for all the memories and for all the hard work we put in together, but let's go win state this year. Colt, Swope, oh, Bull, I don't know. We can keep on going, but thanks for sticking by me through these 5 years of junior high and high school, for going along with all of our bad ideas that sound like they're great until someone ends up bleeding or crying or yelling at the other one. Don't know what I'm going to do without you while you're in Iowa next year, but I'll definitely have to come visit. Avery Ann, Ave, thanks for keeping me in line and my head on straight. I don't know how you put up with me all the time, but I couldn't be more thankful. Also, you'll never not have to tell me 15 minutes prior to wanting to leave anywhere, as I have to make my final rounds and talk to everyone before we can go. Keep being you. Max, please try and stay out of trouble once I'm gone. But I'm glad you finally grown out of the dad he hit me phase to get me yelled at by dad. And we can be friends now. I always have your back. I love you. Mom and Dad, thank you for all you do for me. There aren't enough words to describe how grateful I am to be able to be called your son. Mom, thanks for being my rock and for ganging up on Dad with me. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Dad, thank you for teaching me what it looks like to work hard and put others' needs above myself. I don't know anyone else who works as hard as you do. And by the way, I can still clean a deer faster than you. I love you. Y'all are dismissed. Thank y'all.
Every burning star, signal fire of grace. And if creation sings your praises, so will I. God of your promise, you don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or